Welcome to the Visser Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Richard Visser. I'm a former Minister of Health and Sports with a PhD in medical sciences. I'm a published researcher, and a long time ago, I started my career as a doctor of chiropractic. Together, I want to explore wellness. I want to explore longevity to get you to the best health you've ever known. So join me on this podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Visser Podcast. This is a series of 3. This is the second part thereof, and it's stem cells. Today we're going to talk about exosomes. And as in our last episode where we talked about mesenchymal stem cells, so from Wharton's jelly, which comes from the umbilical cord of babies, we talked about that it was the most effective. We compared it to PRP, we compared it to autonomic stem cells, which we get from your bone marrow or your fat, which already has damage, you're older, you had a couple of beers, you had a past. We don't want that. We want pure cells. With these stem cells, they're hypoallergenic, so you're not going to react. And they basically go in through an IV, not always, but most of the time, we'll do an IV, a drip where your immune system gets boosted, inflammation goes down, all the good stuff that happens, right? So now we're going to talk about exosomes. What are exosomes? Well, the exosomes we use are derived from these mesenchymal stem cells. And what exosomes are, they're nanoscale extracellular vesicles that come out of the mesenchymal stem cell. And these are used to transfer information. This is how cells communicate. And we're going to go into that a little bit later. But basically, exosomes transfer functional cargo like microRNA, mRNA, molecules, peptides, proteins, cytokines, lipids, all these things. And this was only discovered in the 90s. We didn't know what it meant, but, we basically said, listen, how does the body communicate? Does the body communicate with our cells? Well, we have a couple of ways. Nervous system, hormonal system. Our hormones go through our bodies and basically direct, our cells what to do. And the immune system, right? Well, in the 90s, we discovered exosomes. Oh my God. These are so tiny. I mean, we're talking thousands, multiple of thousands tinier than your hair. All right. So massively tiny. And initially we didn't know what they did. But now we know that they transfer information. And they're so tiny, they pass through all the barriers. They're non-detected. And they're able to deliver and communicate between cells. So these are communications strictly cell to cell. All right. So they're about 30 to 150 nanometers in size. They're released, like I said, by the cell. So what about the mechanism? What mechanism is used here? Okay, there are 4 mechanisms that exosomes use to basically transfer information to cells. So you got the mesenchymal cells, or you got any cell in the body. Let's go to any cell in the body. It's going to communicate by releasing these exosomes. These exosomes are going to bind and have receptor activation, so they bind to the cell. They can do internalization, so they go into the cell and then release their cargo. They can do fusion, where they fuse with the cell and then release their cargo. And it can do, from outside, cargo transfer and functional effects. So they'll affect everything. They'll affect that cell on a DNA level. So it's a very complex, regulated process that plays a critical role in various pathologies, physiological conditions, such as the immune response, tissue repair, and cancer progression. We'll talk about this also. So when we look at these exosomes, they have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, all right, which is critical because they're so tiny and they're undetectable. So they're undetectable also to our immune system. So our immune system doesn't know they're traveling. And this is a benefit, but it could also be a huge problem, which we'll discuss in a little bit. So what do we use them for? For promoting neurogenesis. So, creating new nerve pathways, new nerves. And we can use them in the treatment of new neurodegenerative disease conditions, spinal cord injuries, stroke, brain injuries. We bypass all other immune checkpoints, no borders, right? We just go through the therapeutic potential in homing mitigation of the mesenchymal cells and to hijack the neural stem cells messaging system. So what I want to stress here, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I need you to know a couple of things, all right? So this is super important, how they communicate, what happens, and where they can, what's their reach. So the same vesicles are also used by the body to spread disease. Now this is where, this is where it gets into problem, this non-detection by our immune system and the ability to go through all the barriers of the body. Because as we know, diseases like cancer that spread, they're the exosomes that do it. They spread, they go talk to other cells of the body and other parts of the body and go, listen, there's a party going on in cell block A. We want you guys to party, don't tell anyone, kind of secretly. So this becomes a huge issue, and this is with autoimmune diseases, all the diseases that our body can't detect and can't fight against. We got no T cell activation, our body doesn't react on it because they go undetected. So we have, these conditions, dementia, Parkinson's disease, obesity, diabetes, metabolic disorders. I mean, these are the things that, and of course, cancer. So, as I said before, they're like secret agents. Our immune system can't detect them, and they cross all barriers and borders undetected. Now, because of their discovery, we're looking at different diagnostics. Now, this is really cool. So we're able now, and we're starting to get there, to able to, read the exosomes from the blood, from the urine, and do advanced diagnostics of cancer, of these diseases, because we're able to, intercept the communication by taking blood, taking urine, and getting the exosomes out, and reading these exosomes, right? Looking at their mRNA, looking at their protein, looking at everything that's in there, the lipids that are in there, and being able to tell, hey, this is the type of disease it is. So for diagnostics, this is the future. And it's non-invasive, so we don't have to go open you up anymore. We can see it. The other thing that I think that's hugely promising in this area is that we're able now to also, listen, where there's a secret agent, like exosomes are secret agents because they get through everything and they bring messages without anyone detecting it. There's also double agents. See? Yeah. Yeah, double agents. So we're able, we will be able, and we're starting on that, to be able to put in certain drugs, put in certain information into these exosomes, put them back into the body to go back to the cancer and go, no, you're not. We detected you and we're going to kill you specifically. So this is part of personalized medicine, and this is powerful stuff. We won't be talking too much about that, but I just wanted to give you kind of a global perspective on what this means, these exosomes, to healthcare. We're going to be talking mostly about regenerative medicine, okay? But I wanted to touch upon this because this is super important. This is new breakthroughs that are happening every day. So, what they do. All right. Tissue regeneration and repair. Huge. Okay. Immune modulation and inflammation control. So we know that when you have inflammation, when you have chronic inflammation, whether it be a joint, whether it be arthritis, yes, we treat arthritis with this, it's horrible. The body eats itself. So to be able to stop this, to be able to get rid of the inflammation, to be able to have tissue that isn't repairing, repair itself again, is massive. And this is what we're doing. We're doing that now. All right. So whether it be knees, any joint of your body, whether you're, especially in women, and they start getting hair loss and they got like small bald spots, exosomes can reactivate hair growth. So it's extremely important. And we're going to talk about what all we can do right now. So also as a drug delivery system and personalized treatments for various diseases and disorders, like I said before. And how do they do this? How do they do this? Well, transfer of genetic material, the mRNA, microRNA, and proteins to recipient cells. We talked about the 4 ways of the way they do this. Induction of cellular signaling pathways, so they signal the cells to change their DNA, to repair their DNA, to start, basically healing itself. Modulation of the immune response, promotion of tissue regeneration and angiogenesis. Super, super important. Okay, stuff that our body isn't able to do after certain ages or if we have a low immune system. So in practice, in the lab, what methods are we used to get these exosomes? Because you're thinking, okay, these things are so small. How do we even get them? Well, we use ultracentrifuge. We do size exclusion chromatography. We do nanoparticle tracking analysis and using electron microscopy. So where does this revolutionize what we're doing now? So we're using this to treat people with hair growth problems. And there's various ways we do this, either injecting it into the scalp directly if you have certain patches or you're losing your hair, but you still have hair. So what it does, your hair follicles are in rest phase or growth phase. And when we get older, they all go in rest phase, they'll go to sleep. So we wake them back up. You have stem cells right at the base of the hair follicle. We stimulate that again with these exosomes to start working, start producing hair. So thicker, better, more hair. And what we also do is with people that have extreme baldness that really need transplants, what we do is we basically soak the transplant into these exosomes before we put them in the head, and we get much better results. So this is the newest way of doing transplants also. But a lot of people don't need that because, with a transplant, you got to shave your head. A transplant, you got these, you got to wear, compression around your head to keep from the swelling from going down, and then you got to take care of it, and the hair falls out, and there's all this complicated stuff that happens afterwards, and it takes months and months and months before your hair actually regrows. It takes a year and a half, to see the results, and the results are good. But if we can do it without that, if we can just do exosomes, there is no downtime. All right? It takes an hour. You go in 3 times, all right? Once a month, or whenever you have time, whenever you can get in. It is amazing. I mean, especially, when you're looking at guys or women that are losing their hair and having patches of, this could be done. There's no downtime. There's no operation. It's minimum invasive. Great. Super great. And the results are phenomenal. So another thing, arthritis or old joint injuries. That don't go away. We know the knees, your elbow starts messing up, your shoulder, old, sports injuries or work injuries, whatever. Inject it right into the tendon, right into the muscle, right into the ligaments if needed. And amazing. And they do it, of course, with looking, the orthopedist will do this with ultrasound. So he's really looking where he's putting the needle. There's no anesthesia, there's nothing. They just do it and it goes. So again, no downtime, nothing. You come, you go. So we look at tendon, ligament, muscle repair. If it's not a complete tear, like a lot of times you hear, athletes, that's why athletes go travel and get this stuff done, because a lot of times they're struggling and surgery is not an option, or they've had surgery and it's still an issue. So this is what, this is the latest stuff that they're using. So we have, heart tissue repair after a heart attack or after an incident. The muscle around the heart, the smooth muscle can be repaired. It can start moving again better. You can have some repair there. Also with brain tissue repair after a stroke, vascularization, etc. Nerve damage. This helps. This actually gets, neuroregenesis. So, and there's much more. And these are the things. And also on the cosmetic level, we do face. So if you want to have collagen, elastin, like fluff up again, everyone now is using these fillers, and, they're using Botox and using all this stuff. And sometimes if you don't have the right physician, you come out, you can start looking a little weird. And then, with the fillers, if you gain weight, you lose weight, it changes, it looks different. It looks like well, this is just completely natural. These exosomes go in and they basically tell your own tissue, your own collagen, your own elastin to start getting back to youth, to reactivate again, to get plumper. So it is amazing what is being done right now. And like I said before in the previous episode, I do have a stake in it. We have a company, it's called Avicerna. Look at it, avicerna.com, and you can learn all about it, where we produce the stem cells, we produce the exosomes, and more. And we're also training on the Vera platform about over 1,000 physicians to use this. So they get certified and they're able to use this. And it's really, in regenerative medicine, this is the next level. It's been going on for a bit, but really right now we're in the know on how to use it, when to use it, what to expect. We also know that it gives us amazing results, and it takes a bit. I mean, your body has to regenerate, and it depends on, how good your health is. It depends on how old you are also. So these are things we have to consider to see how many cells you're going to get, or exosomes, how many, units you're getting. And when we're talking in exosomes, we're talking about, billions of units. So 1 to 5 billion, depending on your size, depending on how old you are, and depending on where we're doing it. But these treatments are ongoing, and because they're mesenchymal derived exosomes, it's very hard to find in the US or in Europe. So countries like Mexico, Colombia, Dubai, Switzerland, Turkey, of course. In Asia, you have Thailand and different other countries that do it. Now, it is very important that you know the lab that does it. It's kind of like from, farm to fork, same thing. So the lab is super important because, one, all the tissues need to get tested, all right? That there's no issues with the tissues that we're collecting. Secondly, the process of extracting mesenchymal stem cells and from there extracting the exosomes is a real specific process. It needs to happen under real specific conditions, including a temperature, and it needs to be transported in that temperature. We're talking minus 80 degrees Celsius, so we're doing it with liquid nitrogen. And then it has a shelf life depending on how your physician holds it. Okay. And what we're seeing, because every time we do this, we have to get a government approval. So you get your own number, you get your own stem cells that belong to you. There's a whole process that goes on. It's not fly by night. This is real medicine. It's real regenerative medicine. It's a new field, but it's also regulated. So we have to follow the regulations and everything, but it is amazing. And if you know anyone that has had it, we're looking at a lot of top athletes, movie stars, influential people are all going to get this work done. So I hope that I was able to inform you enough about this. And we got one more episode to go after this about, of course, the stem cells, where we'll recap everything, and we'll also go into, fibroblasts, chondroblasts, etc. There's a couple more things we need to go through, but these are the two big ones. So again, subscribe, ring the bell notification, come on board. Let's do this journey. I told you before, and I'll tell you again. You follow me on this, be the healthiest you've ever known. Thank you, and see you soon.